Gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing a new version of a modern classic. This is Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, published by Days of Wonder and designed by Alan R. Moon. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
It is a competitive game.
Wait, what? Competitive? Are we playing a competitive game on Dice and Dragons?
We've played quite a few.
Okay.
There's quite a few behind us.
I guess it's because we've been back on our cooperative kit for a little while.
So it is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and above. The box says 15 minutes. Maybe if you're playing 2 players, it's 15 minutes. But when you're playing at 4 players, it's closer to 25 minutes. Unless you're not thinking and you're just, playing a speed version of it.
Well, I think you could definitely do it even with more experienced players at about 15 minutes, but as you say, it's still going to be not that easy of a task to accomplish.
Yep.
Now, what are you doing in Ticket to Ride Amsterdam? Well, like other Ticket to Ride games, you're going to be constructing routes, scoring points for said routes. You're also going to have your secret routes that you're trying to construct in order to get points. Then you also have, which you'll be able to see clearer if you take a look at the components, these routes that actually have the wagon symbol here. That'll get you some bonus cards, which will get you bonus points at the end of the turn. Now, to claim the routes, you're going to have to play cards from your hand that match the color, or they need to be wild, so they can be any color in order to claim them for yourselves. Did I miss anything at all, Julie? Actually, I think maybe these aren't called routes. These might be contracts. So
they're contracts and they're cargo for the wagon, but close enough.
Hey, she's a Ticket to Ride expert, so guess what? I'm going to let her run the show for a change. Yeah, that's right. She always runs the show. She just lets me think that I do it.
So we're going to
take it to the table one more time.
Yeah, but before that, we're going to grab our best friend.
Yeah, and grab our drinks. Oh, maybe she doesn't run the show. That was completely out of order.
But yes, we're going to take it to the table one more time. And I'm going to beat you again.
Oh, not this time. I'm going to bring it to you.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for Ticket to Ride Amsterdam. We'll start with the rule book, well, maybe more like a rules pamphlet. It's got everything that you need to learn the game. It's really quick and easy to learn, even if you're not familiar with Ticket to Ride. Now, if you are familiar with the game, I believe the only section you'll need to check out is claiming a route, as you do have the new rules with regards to this cargo symbol and the merchandise bonus cards that you will be gaining. Now we'll take a look at the other components. We'll start with the contract cards, and just like every other Ticket to Ride, you got to try to connect this location to this location, however you want to do it across the map to score these points. If you don't, they become negative points at the end of the game. Values range from, I believe, as low as 3 points all the way up to, I'm trying to find it in here, the longest route, 8 points. So that's how you're going to be getting some of that bonus scoring to overtake your competitors. Now, you've got all the different colors. So blue, green, wild, black, orange, red, and pink is the last color we didn't see. So these are all the different colors for the routes that you're going to be claiming. Now, as you can see here, there are the green routes, which can be any color, but they still have to be matching colors in order to claim these 2 spaces. So 2 greens, for example. Then you've got just these cargo cards. As you can see here, they're all identical. And you've got the amount of bonus points that they're worth in a 4-player, 3-player, or a 2-player game. We then, of course, have the tokens that you'll be using, scoring tokens, which you'll be using to score across the board as you claim your routes. And then we'll only take a look at one of them. The white one actually is probably going to be the clearest one for you to see with the black background. These little carts replace the trains as you're shipping cargo, not moving people across a country. Then lastly, we've got the board. So I'm going to open it up so you can get an idea as to what it looks like. And we'll get this as low as I can. Try to get most of it on camera. So as you can see, we've got this nice small board. Instructions for in the corner right here for how you're going to score your routes. You've got the name of all the locations and the colors of the routes that you need. And then at the bottom corner, right over here is a reminder as to how those extra merchandise cards work. So there you have it, really just a quick look at all the components for Ticket to Ride Amsterdam. Now keep it right here as Julie and I are coming back at you with our review of the game. So Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, the game that I bought for you. This is something that you've been eagerly awaiting our chance to get it to the table. What did you think of this game?
Well, I've been playing Ticket to Ride for I don't know how many years, over 10 for sure. I was playing it with friends. I played the original, then played Europe. And then I introduced it to my family, and we've been playing it. We've played it for years. So it's probably, I guess it's some people have asked what my introduction into gaming or back into gaming, because I played Monopoly and all those things when I was younger. I guess the Ticket to Ride is that game, though I do consider Descent my gateway, even though this is the game that I played a lot of.
Everything behind this is because of Descent 2nd Edition. So that game definitely has a special place in our hearts.
So that being said, you had never played it. And unfortunately, the first time I managed to get you to play it at a game night, we played with people who had beyond analysis paralysis. This was the longest. It was painful, even for somebody who's used to playing with people who have trouble deciding what to do. This was painful.
3 hours playing a game of Ticket to Ride. Now, we did have a full player count of 6 players, but it was brutal. I looked at Julie and I was like, if that's Ticket to Ride, I never want to play again. And then we heard about these 15-minute versions of the game. I believe it started with London, then there was New York, and there's Amsterdam. We picked up New York, I believe, for your mom for Christmas because, as Julie said, no, she's been playing with her family. Not all of the family members like the long version of the game, so we thought that'd be a great way to stop the fights during the holiday season.
Yeah, so to get down to this version of the game, I honestly...
I clean that up. It's driving me nuts. There we go. Be nice to your cart. She flipped it over.
Just going to try to see how long it takes for him to try to flip it again. That being said, I think that this game offers the best of Ticket to Ride in the sense that you still get all of the flavor of Ticket to Ride, but it doesn't take as long of an investment of time. Now, I would say that in this version, though, because there's so little wagons, such a small map, you really have to get things done quickly. So it's not as forgiving, I would say, as the longer version, because the longer version you can try different strategies and adapt as you go. In this case, I think we've talked about it with the people we played with. It was a little bit of frustration that the luck of the draw has a little bit more of a say in the game.
And I want to stress, I don't think the luck of the draw for, your standard cards, it's really when it comes down to the contract cards where the luck of the draw we find can make a very big difference. But
I've been thinking about it. You can, like you can with the long version, draw more contracts up and keep only the ones that you want. It would allow you to also...
you can. It's just that you also have the added mechanic of the cargo, which will get you some nice bonus points. So you have a very tricky situation. Do you go for the easy card bonus points, especially when some routes like this one here will get you cargo cards are only 2, like 2 cards that you have to place. So it's fairly easy to place 2 of them. Or do you try to get a contract card that you can then go ahead and complete? I guess what it really comes down to is if you want to do the contract cards, you have to do it early on in the game. But if you get 2 solid contracts when you start the game, do you really want to try to get a third that might just throw off your whole game? It's tricky. I get what you're saying about the luck of the draw. I don't feel that the mechanic itself of drawing more contracts is as useful as it is in the longer game because you can pretty much do it at any time.
I still think it gives you, in the span of time that you have, an additional opportunity. So I don't
True,
think...
but it's negative points. It also bites you in the butt if you don't get it done.
You don't have to take... You can get rid of...
No, you cannot. You have to take a card when you go for the contract.
Yeah, at least you take one. And
but if...
anyways, I disagree with you. I think that the additional contract, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as if you take it in the long.
I disagree, though, because
in the long version, the contracts are also longer. They're not as short. These are very short contracts.
They are, but you still have to gain, different routes. It's not as easy to do in terms of what's available on the board, especially at a higher player count, whereas you've got these nice, easy to gain bonus points. It's still, again, it becomes the luck of the draw. I feel that in a longer game, you have a chance to maybe pull off that contract, or those negative points aren't going to hurt you as much as they would if it just blows up in your face early on. For example, you got your 2 contract cards that had very high points and they went in the same direction, which was nice. However, if, you draw the extra cards early or later on in the game, you can get something that isn't great. Or you could be lucky and get a very short contract to score some extra points. Now, it's possible that you're right. Maybe you have to go through the whole contract deck to do an evaluation of it. But I don't know. I did not see the value of it. And I don't think it's necessarily as good as trying to deny other players points with the cargo cards.
Yeah, there are different ways to play Ticket to Ride, and that's part of the advantages of this game. You could play it one way and win against certain people, and play it the same way against other people, and it's not as advantageous. So I've had players like you who try to deny points instead of focusing on their own game, and it doesn't tend to work out.
Yeah, you've got to play some denial, especially in this when it comes to the cargo cards. You sometimes need to shift and pivot, but if you don't play a little bit of denial, you're not
I didn't play any denial. I won both games.
Yes, but the only reason why you won that last game is because you had the best route and you dropped it right away.
It's not the only reason.
That is the only reason. I made my best move. I even shifted in the game to make my other best move, and I came, as you can see, it's on the board here, only a couple points away from catching you because I did play my best. I could have tried to go for the luck of the draw, which might have put me back a little bit, but and this is a game and there's luck elements in Ticket to Ride, and I think me personally, I just don't love this game. You've been playing it for a long time, you like it. I just don't think I find the mechanics interesting enough. Luck of the draw does play a fairly big factor when it comes to the contract cards. I see the rest of the game is, a lot of skill. But I feel like this deck, at least the way it was and what I've seen, it can swing the game pretty badly.
The advantage of the luck, and that's why I said that this corrects things, is because the luck of the draw plays also in the longer version. The reason, and I can get pretty frustrated with, games that are luck of the draw that are long when you can see that you're not going to be able to catch up because luck's just not on your side. In this case, it's, at most half an hour, and you can play a couple games and, play best 2 out of 3 or best 3 out of 5, depending on how much time you have to invest. And I think that's where I really feel like this shines. I can tell that this is not your favorite type of game, and that we won't be playing this just the 2 of us. But I think it's a great addition to the game, and I think to game nights and to a collection. I think that this is a perfect game for families who want to play a quick game instead of doing something else. It's also great, I think, for, intro to evenings when you're waiting for people to show up. Or, honestly, this is a game, because I've played it before, that's fun to play, in an evening after, as you've been hanging out, because you can have conversation as well while you're playing this. So I just think that this is a great game for any collection. Besides, if you align with Jason on absolutely every review that he makes, then, maybe you won't like Ticket to Ride. But I definitely think that this has a place in most collections.
No, I'm not going to argue that point. I mean, this is just the type of game that personally does not sit well with me. Now, I do play a lot of games where luck is a big factor. I play Hearthstone, and the amount of times Julie catches me cursing when that one card shows up that swings the game the other way, and out of the other 30 cards, I would be fine. I'd win, but, that is the luck of the draw. However, I just find at least this, and it could also be because of both games, not the first game we played very well, and she definitely beat us all fair and square. She even only had one contract and just played the best game. The last game was just seeing that luck of the draw that really just kind of bothered me. Now, I'm not, as Julie said, the time factor really does mitigate that. I could also be that my feelings about Ticket to Ride are still a little bit shaded from that really, long game that we played. But I also feel that I just don't find the mechanics all that interesting. There are other games that I would rather be playing that take, right around that 30-minute mark at least. Or we've got Red Rising behind us, where then we play that 2 players. That takes about 45 minutes. That's another game that she beats me more often at than not. That I would just personally rather play because I find them more interesting. But as Julie said, as a gateway game, as a game to play with families, you're going to have a lot of success with this. It's very easy to teach this version to younger gamers. The price point is very competitive, and it doesn't really take up a lot of space. If you're like us and have a large game collection and really want to try to condense everything, you could even probably find a way to get all 3 of these small box Ticket to Ride games in a single box. So you can definitely have 3 different versions, as Julie was saying, play the best 2 out of 3. You could play New York, Amsterdam, London, and go like that. So what I do love about this game, and there are certain things I love, is that it really takes that Ticket to Ride experience, something that when I was playing the game for the first time, even if we had only played it for an hour, I just felt was overly long. And I really feel like this distills it down to the essence. You get that same gameplay, which has been a staple, and it's a classic, it's a modern classic style of gameplay, and you get it in a package that plays a lot quicker and gives you, just a lot more time to play other games or play multiple games, which I do think will help mitigate that frustrating luck factor that may bother someone like myself. I do think these small box versions are the best versions of Ticket to Ride personally. I could potentially play the longer game, and I think we should definitely try it at some point with the family, and maybe we will get, a review of that on the channel. But I think this is where my interest more lies, and where you're more likely to get me and your dad to play the game. I was surprised because he was the one that actually suggested that we play again, which tells me that he was enjoying the time and it was not going, too long.
So you seem to have the strongest opinion, so why don't you give your score first?
Well, because this game is a modern classic and it succeeds at doing exactly what it tries to do. Not going to give this game a failing rating, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. I give this a 6. And for someone that, enjoys Ticket to Ride, or, I'll probably have a much higher rating, or someone just enjoys this type of gameplay, it'd probably be closer to a 7. But personally, this just doesn't hit that right spot for me. But this is by no means a bad game. This is just something that, for me, it's take it or leave it, like Julie feels about certain games. So this is a 6.
This is 7.5 for me. Like I said, it distills it to the best of Ticket to Ride in a short amount of time. It's very approachable, very easy to use to play for anybody. And if you want to play longer, you can play multiple games, and I think that makes it lots of fun. So definitely a 7.5 for me.
Well, there you go.
So now it's time to remind everybody, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you would like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, there'll be pictures on those feeds. Also down below in the video description is our link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store if you're looking for a version of Ticket to Ride. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way for you to support the channel as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. Then also popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. We'll have something that is family related, and if we ever do get Ticket to Ride to the table, that will pop up in front of Julie, and in front of me is going to be our most recent video. So I had to change that up, so she changed up the intro as well. And now what time is it, Julie?
Time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend. And we're going to keep playing games.
See, that's been bothering me. So now I have to go digging for your thing. There you go, since you played with my wagon.